And in related news, Iran has enriched more than 120 kilograms of 20% enriched uranium, according to a statement made by the Iran Atomic Energy Organization chief on Saturday, edging them closer to achieving nuclear capabilities. So what does this announcement mean for the stalled nuclear talks and for Iran's race towards a nuclear bomb? Joining us to discuss is political science professor Gerald Steinberg from Ilan University. Welcome.
Thank you.
So let's talk for a second about what this announcement actually means. I mean, just last month, the country reportedly had only 84 kilos of enriched uranium, still above what it's allowed to have under the previous nuclear agreement. And now they've jumped even more significantly. I mean, how close are they to achieving nuclear capabilities?
I think we have to look at all these announcements with some degree of skepticism. They may be correct. They may be deliberately designed to mislead and to put pressure on the Americans to reach a negotiation quickly. I think the Americans probably are aware of the fact that that's part of the Iranian strategy. If they, in fact, have 120 kilograms of this highly enriched uranium, that certainly puts them much closer to being able to have a weapons capability. On the other hand, they've been shown to exaggerate a lot of their military claims, sometimes announcing weapons which really don't exist at all, sometimes enhancing the capabilities far beyond what they really are. So I think we have to be careful. We don't know what is being said in the intelligence circles, what information is available. We don't know what, and they may themselves, the people who do follow this very closely, based on very high-level intelligence, may not also know. So in some degree, we're guessing in the dark here. The Iranians want to make it seem like they're very close to or have reached a fait accompli, so therefore there's really no sense in putting pressure on them to slow or stop their program, and it's certainly not in the interest of the United States or Israel or anybody else outside of Iran to go along with that if, in fact, there's a great deal of exaggeration, as I think there is.
And so we should take this with a grain of salt, you're saying, but what does this mean for the nuclear deal? I mean, talks have been stalled for quite some time. Does Iran want to go back to the negotiating table? I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
Iran wants to be able to have its cake and eat it too. That's always been the case. They want to continue to develop nuclear weapons. They want to become a regional superpower. They want to be able to move their forces around the region, including attacking Israel with a high degree of impunity. I think that in many ways they don't realize how much that's going to threaten their own existence, but we'll put that aside. So this is part of an ongoing game. At the same time, they want to end the sanctions. They want to get a lot of money, which they claim is owed to them out of the United States and the international community. So they're playing this very tightly held deck of cards. It's a game, really, game of poker, perhaps. I'm not sure it's chess, but perhaps more like poker, with a lot of betting, a lot of taking of risks. It sounds like the Americans are not buying into it. Certainly Tony Blinken, the Secretary of State, sounds quite skeptical that the Iranians are serious about reaching any kind of agreement which would at all put limits on their nuclear capabilities. We'll have to see what's going on behind the scenes. And to the degree that the Iranians are desperate, if they really want to end the sanctions and have some sort of economic framework that they can use to make their internal political and social systems more functional and less threatening to them, to their own internal capabilities and governance, then they may at the last minute fold and agree to some terms that might be acceptable. But right now, what we're seeing are these kinds of grand claims. Hey, we're very close to having nuclear weapons. We're doing this even though there's been all these attacks on our capabilities, the assassination of one of our top leaders of the nuclear program, buildings that blow up that carry a lot of the nuclear facilities. They want to say they're moving forward. And frankly, from the outside, it's impossible to tell whether this is accurate or just a lot of hot air.
And yet the United States still hoping to resume talks.
Well, the Biden administration has gone in, taken office, hoping, asking, trying to pick up the pieces that were there after the end of the Obama period and which Trump pulled out of. But the Iranians, frankly, were not, in any case, they were not holding to the agreements, the terms that were promised. They're cheating in a number of different ways. And so that was a game also of chicken. It's continuing now. But I think it is part of the American foreign policy under the Biden administration to at least declare that they want to have an agreement. But they've also, I think there's been a very clear turn towards skepticism by Mr. Blinken, even by Biden himself in the last few weeks. So the Americans have said that if it doesn't reach an agreement soon, there are other alternatives on the table, leaving that for the Iranians to figure out what they're being talking about. And we're still we're seeing efforts to reach an agreement, but I would remain highly skeptical that that's going to succeed.
All right, Professor Gerald Steinberg, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you very much.